Hey, good morning, Alex. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just checking the sound, making sure everything is okay.
Hey,
Hey there, Josh.
Bill, you got the beard rocking. What's up?
I do indeed.
Good for you. How's it going, Alex?
Good. How are you?
Good.
We've got a couple of people on the call. To those attendees, we're just going to give it a little bit before we get started, but we will start shortly.
Sounds good.
Josh, do you want to try sharing your screen just to make sure that works?
Yep, hang on here. Not. There we go. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
All right. Second. Okay, try now.
So I'm just going to say something right off the bat. I am working with two screens here, so if I'm not maintaining eye contact with the camera, apologies for that.
Same, Adil.
Cool.
Good morning to those calling in. We are going to give it a couple minutes to let people join, and then we'll get started just after 11.
Can you still hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, my little side with the pictures of you guys went away on me, so I didn't know if something went awry.
We're going to get started in just about 5 minutes. We'll let people call in a little bit more. Good morning to all that have just joined us. I'm going to give it another 2 minutes and then we will get started. All right, it looks like we've got a good amount of people on the call. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. I'd like to welcome everybody. I'm Alex Berner, the events manager for the CEAC. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for the October virtual meeting. Today, we're partnering with Peoples Gas and North Shore Gas Energy Efficiency Program for today's webinar. During their presentation, they are going to give an overview of the program, talk about the new program opportunities, and give tips on steam system maintenance, testing, and replacement. So at this time, right now you can only hear the speakers, but you can use the Q&A and chat to participate with any questions. We will have a couple minutes at the end to go over questions, so I will help facilitate that and read out your questions. But if you'd like to make any comments or have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to put that through the chat and Q&A. At this time, I'd like to introduce Josh, the Energy Advisor. He's been with energy efficiency programs for 5 years now and is an excellent resource for our members. Welcome, Josh, and feel free to take it away.
Hi there. Thank you, Alex, and thanks for having us out today. I think this is a tremendous opportunity for us in the program to kind of get out and amongst the engineering groups around the area. So I'm going to give a brief overview of kind of what we offer. Talk a little bit, as Alex said, about the opportunities that we have increased some opportunities due to the current climate in the market, and going to also kind of walk you through of how you would participate. I think that everyone who's on this call should certainly have some sort of use for our program. I'm pretty sure that most of you at least have one boiler, if not 10 or 15 of them. And so we're here to try to help you get some money for those tune-ups perhaps. So there's 4 segments to basically what we do: assessments, rebates, studies, and new construction. So the new construction program is a program that is partnership with ComEd. And so if you're doing any major renovations in your facility, or you're planning to build a new facility, this is a program that you would participate in. We have studies like a gas optimization study and a retro commissioning study, which I'll actually go into a little bit right now because I don't think I have slides specifically for gas optimization. So the gas optimization study is designed for customers that use over 400,000 therms per year. And it's most commonly utilized in like universities, hotels, large industrial facilities. And what it is it's essentially like a level 2 ASHRAE. So what we do is we would hire a third-party engineering firm. The engineering firm would come in, do this in-depth study, and then basically what would be at stake for that, and we would pay for that. So basically what would be at stake for you, the customer, would be you would be asked to implement the low cost, no cost items that were discovered within this GOS study. Some of them could be simple as boiler tune-ups, steam trap replacements, so on and so forth. Another one of my favorite programs that we offer is the retro commissioning program. Again, a joint program with the ComEd utility. And this one basically goes through the facility and identifies inefficiencies of fresh air intakes on air handling units, scheduling, so on and so forth. I can, one example jumps to mind. I'm working with a college right now that basically said a year ago, yes, we want to participate in this study. And they did. And we were able to, just by doing some building automation system modifications, we were able to help them save roughly about 180,000 therms in gas. And I want to say somewhere around 1.5 million kilowatt hours of electric. And so is certainly, if you have a campus type of facility and everything is kind of tied together, this is likely going to be a program that would directly pertain to you and something that you could benefit on. And so if you guys have any questions regarding any of these, our contact information will be at the end of this presentation, and you can ask there. Alternatively, our 2 biggest is the prescriptive and custom rebate section. Today, I will speak about the prescriptive rebates, and Adil will help me with that, and then a transition into the custom rebates. So what are prescriptive rebates? Prescriptive rebates are the ones that are located in our main application, 1-for-1 upgrades. If you're adding a boiler, if a boiler is getting near the end of the life and you're replacing a boiler, if you're doing steam trap maintenance, if you're doing pipe insulation, water reduction measures, we have a couple. Most of the water reduction measures fall within the custom project, but we do have a couple that are within our prescriptive program. And so this stuff is fairly easy. Things like boiler tune-ups, literally between boiler tune-ups and steam trap repair and replacement, which I'll go into a little bit more in depth here shortly. this is kind of the bread and butter of the program. It's fairly easy, and it's my job as an energy advisor to take each of you and make it easy for you to participate in the program. The whole object of this program is to capture savings of things that you may be doing already in your facility without creating the pain of a lot of extra paperwork and things like that. So I try to keep it simple enough that I require a signature from you, and I can work also directly with your contractors. So let's talk a little bit more about boiler tune-ups. So these are general maintenance items that everyone who has a boiler should be participating in. If you have a boiler and it has not been tuned up in the program within the last few years, get in touch with me. You're basically just leaving money on the table. I know you're doing these things in anyway. They have to be done. You're doing them as a general maintenance. And I'm willing to work directly with the contractor. So how a boiler tune-up would work is I would get a signature from one of you, the engineers, that says, "Yep, we want to participate in this boiler tune-up stuff." And then what I would do is I would work directly with your contractor, and I would get an invoice from them. But we have to basically have pre and post combustion tape analysis. And so as long as those can reflect some type of efficiency increase, however slight. So you might have a boiler that modulates and it has 10 firing rates, and say one or two of those shows an increase in efficiency. That will qualify you for the incentive for the boiler tune-ups. And about 98% of the time, the program will cover the entire cost of that boiler tune-up. So I will work with you and the contractor. They will fill out the boiler tune-up checklist. And again, these are things that you can reach out to me or Adil directly later on after, and we can get you these applications and boiler tune-up checklists. It was a lot to kind of go through all of that today, but it's simple. And the majority of the contractors that do the maintenance work at your facility already know kind of how to do this stuff. And so it should be fairly simple. Pipe insulation, whether you have 10 feet of pipe that's bare, if it has hot water or steam, we provide an incentive. Any pipe that's over 1 inch in diameter would qualify. And the ROI on these are generally like 2 years or less. So coming from like a capital spending standpoint, it should really be no trouble to get the approvals. And so this is another low-hanging fruit. If it's, like I said, if it's 10 feet, fine. If it's 1,000 feet, great. We're here for that. New program opportunities. So this is more, I'm going to kind of gloss over this energy assessment one, just because I think we're dealing with a lot of larger customers on the phone today. And so if you are a small business, this is kind of more applicable toward you, and you would reach out to someone on the small business program to kind of guide you through this online energy assessment. So we know the times are tough right now, and we're trying everything that we can do in our power to make it easier for folks to participate. So we've increased a significant amount of our incentives and as you can see, who's eligible, more or less every customer. If you're commercial industrial, if you're small to mid business, small to mid-sized business, if you're public sector, and just kind of as a definition for you, if you work at, let's say, Cook County, whether it's the jail or it's the fire station, anything that's like county or even townships like, Libertyville or things like that, we are here for that. And that falls within the public sector. Also included within that public sector would be any like K through 12 schools, or let's say community colleges that are owned by the state. They would also be included in that. And so to help make sure that we covered the majority or all of your boiler tune-up incentives, we've increased the cap from 1,500 up and for 3,000. So if you have so if you have a space heating application, $1,500 per boiler. If you have a process application boiler, we can get, for Tuneups that is, we can give you $300 per boiler. And we have a new measure, and I'm going to hand it over a little bit to Adil. Can you talk to us a little bit about the laminar flow faucet inserts, please?
Definitely. So basically, these laminar flow restrictors or aerators are basically flow regulators. And they're basically a small attachment that either fits onto the end of the tap or they can be inserted inside of the existing spout. So what these devices do they'll basically control the amount of water that flows through the tap without affecting the water pressure as they mix the water with air. So as the water pressure is maintained, most people don't really even notice a difference in the amount of water coming out as, of the aerated faucet. But it greatly benefits the water efficiency. It saves you on your gas bill and your water treatment bills as well. And yeah, that's basically the gist of laminar flow aerators.
Okay, and so those would fit within the custom program then, Adil?
That's right. Yes. So for
Okay.
now, that's being reviewed as a custom program.
Oh, great. Can you also touch a little bit about on the ozone laundry?
Absolutely. So again, this is very popular amongst laundromats and very heavy duty laundromats, like I said. So ozone laundry, it's basically a technology that uses electricity and oxygen in a unique way to replace many of the chemicals that normally get used in a traditional wash cycle. So oxygen and electricity basically combine to create ozone molecules, and they dissolve in water, and when applied to the wash cycle instead of the chemicals, it greatly improves the efficiency and reduces the operating costs of the laundry. Another benefit of ozone laundry is that it can operate, or it reduces the dirt and the grime and things like that from um, dirty clothes with just cold water. So again, you're saving on um, water treatment bills, you're saving on heating energy, and you're getting an incentive out of us. So again, it's very popular.
All right, great. Thank you. So public sector. So I primarily service the large commercial and industrial facilities, and public sector is kind of my second forte. And so we tried to, with a lot of the schools being closed and things like that, we wanted to make sure that it wasn't necessarily because there wasn't enough, enough money in the pool for these folks to do projects. So these incentives were increased to 150% on almost everything except steam trap testing, hot water boilers, and custom projects. And Adil will go into that. But for the public sector, the custom projects are at $2.50 therm safe. So that's quite lucrative as it stands already. So, but that's just to make you aware that these added incentives are there for you. Our small and mid-sized business. As you can see, we have Ann Nick and Bill Holub. There are two resident experts in the small business program. So if you have a small business and you're looking to do some projects, these are the folks that you would reach out to. And additionally, that's not listed in this slide, in addition to the bonus and so on and so forth, they also have an increased incentive amount, just as the public sector does this year. So keep an eye out for that if you fall within that small business sector. This is one of my favorites because it's really, I would say 70% of the savings that we get for the year is probably centered one way or another around steam. And so normally the requirement is 36 months for steam trap. Right now, if you have not had a steam trap, so if all of you on the line, I'm sure half of you probably have steam in some capacity or another, whether it's process or it's space heat. If those traps have not been tested within the last 12 months, you qualify. And what's great about the steam trap testing is we will pay for the audit. So we'll pay for a contractor to come in there and audit every single steam trap. And if you haven't had a steam trap audit done in the past, I can kind of explain it to you. They come in with an ultrasonic machine, listen to see if these steam traps are working. They will take each individual trap. They will produce a report for you. And then from that report, we will be able to incentivize any trap that is blown through or failed open. So what it amounts to for you as a group is it's free. It's free to have them come out and do these testings. And then any of them that are failed open, we will be able to pay, well, it depends if you're public or private sector, but anywhere from $100 to all the way up to $400 per failed open trap, which in a lot of the times it covers the majority of the trap. If you have some very large process traps, as you know, those can get to be pretty pricey, but regardless of if there's an incentive associated with this at all, you generally are going to be replacing these, because we all know if you are bleeding steam, you are bleeding money. And so this is probably one of my favorite incentives that we offer. And with that kind of the restrictions being pulled back on it, it's a great time to participate. And now I'd like to introduce Adil. Adil Hassin is the technical lead for our engineering department. Adil, would you like to take it away with the custom projects?
Absolutely. Thank you for that introduction, Josh. All right, so custom rebates. To put it very simply, custom program is designed to incentivize projects that fall outside of the scope of prescriptive incentive. Obviously, Josh covered the prescriptive portion in a lot of detail, and to step away from that a little bit and look at custom, we understand as a program that businesses tend to have unique energy systems. Their operation tends to be quite variable. So the custom program is really set up to accommodate such customers and provide financial incentives to implement projects that save gas. We incentivize projects at the rate of $1 per therm saved of first year gas savings for projects that save over 7,500 therms. For projects that save below 7,500 therms, the rate of the incentive is 75 cents for first year of gas saving. So for example, if your project saves 10,000 therms, the incentive awarded will be $10,000. Now, obviously, there are a couple of incentive caps as well. The first one being 50% of the project cost. And the second one is buy down to 1 year payback. Now, obviously, for the public sector, the incentive rate is a little bit higher at $2.50 per therm of first year gas savings, capped at buy down to 1 year payback, and at 75% of the project cost. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Okay, so in a nutshell, the basic review process of a custom project can be divided into 3 phases. The first phase is identifying opportunities. So once we have identified a gas savings project, we ask that the customer submit a pre-approval application with the help of an energy advisor. And as a part of this application, we require basic documents like a scope of work, a quotation just to help us calculate what the payback would be, things of that nature. And once we get the application package, the advisor will conduct a high-level inspection on site just to verify what the baseline scenario is, gather the necessary information, and pass it on to the engineering team. Now, this takes us on to phase 2. Now, at this stage, an energy engineer will be assigned to a project to do a savings analysis, and they'll finalize savings, and also they'll look at the financial picture of a particular project as well, and basically decide if this project is financially viable. Now, obviously, the project will then go through the required approval process, and when approved, a letter will be sent out to the customer with the incentive reservation letter. Now, at this point, we just let the customer know that they have basically reserved X amount from the program to complete the project, which will be released when the implementation of that particular project is complete. Now, after they get the reservation letter, the customer would sort of work with the energy advisor to schedule the implementation. Now, basically, this just means that we like to get a sense of what the timeline of that implementation would be, so that we can, prepare the release of the incentives on our end. So when the equipment is installed, the advisor will again go out to the site, do a high-level inspection, start the verification process, and finally the incentive will be paid out. So prior to the installation, the first 2 stages would take about 4 to 6 weeks until the reservation letter is sent out, and the final review, when we get the notice that the implementation is complete, also takes about 4 weeks.
So,
And that's basically the program overview in a nutshell. Go for it, Josh.
so could I ask, so how long is a reservation letter good for a deal once it's issued? And is there any time constraints on our end? How do you kind of handle that?
Yeah, so as a program, the reservation letter or the incentive that is reserved for a particular customer is good for 90 days. But again, we understand that, as with any implementation, um, timelines tend to vary a lot, and we are very, very flexible as far as that is concerned. So we just require that, you just work with the energy advisor to sort of give us the notice that, it's going to take a little bit longer, and we can obviously work with that timeline. That I haven't seen that be an issue ever.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So this is a list of some of the projects that we have implemented in the near future. The first one being wireless pneumatic thermostats. If you could just go over to the next slide. So obviously we worked on this project at a downtown high-rise building located on Michigan Avenue. This customer had major issues with building automation system scheduling, inability to incorporate temperature setbacks, which was leading to overheating of the space, things like that. So they were still using pneumatically controlled building automation system. So obviously this proposal came through of upgrading their existing building automation system to a wireless pneumatically controlled, so which basically gave them greater control over their automation system, saving them about 25% of their annual gas use. And for this particular project, we were able to incentivize $80,000, which was a good chunk of the cost of the project. The next project that we have incentivized is an energy recovery wheel. So we worked at this project at a university campus facility, basically to refurbish an energy recovery wheel. And the function of this wheel was to precondition the fresh air with recovered energy from the return air to reduce heating load savings. And we were able to, at this particular project, and the customer, they were able to reduce their gas use by 12%. Quite significant again. The next one is burner upgrade, by far the most common custom measure we evaluate in our program. And in this particular scenario, it was a process facility where the main boiler was quite inefficient due to being improperly sized burner, and it was resulting in excessive cycling. I believe somewhere in the region of 6 to 8 times an hour. The customer upgraded to a high efficiency burner featuring high turndown capability. I believe with this example, it was a 10 to 1 turndown. It also featured linkages controls and O2 trim. This package saved the customer 20% of their gas use and qualified them for a program incentive from us of $40,000. The next example is for a building automation system optimization. Again, this is a very common measure as well. This particular example came out of a program funded study, which Josh identified as a gas optimization study. We had, paid out an an engineering firm to sort of do a deep energy analysis of their facility, and through the study, we identified that there were immediate opportunities to save energy through temperature setbacks, optimization of the existing building automation system, saving this customer 8% of their annual gas use. The next example is of a heat recovery project as well. So this project was implemented at a lab, basically installing a glycol loop between the supply and return, recovering heat from the return air to precondition the makeup air. Again, savings in this example was about 20% as well, and the incentive paid out was about $85,000.
So basically what you're saying on these custom projects is if you think that you have something that's going to save gas a dill, it's worth a look, right? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. If these are only a handful of projects that we have been involved in. And if there are any projects at your facility on the horizon that saves gas, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to assist you.
Yeah, and I can think of another one off a hand that we actually just presented on yesterday at one of the hotels downtown, who had so much back pressure and so much traffic throughout the winter months that the doors would basically remain open all the time, and it was creating a tremendous butting heads of the boiler and the cold air rushing in. And so we were able to provide them with a very handsome incentive to install a large revolving door, and that it saved a ton of energy. I don't recall offhand, and we were able to give them quite a nice incentive for that too. So if it saves energy, reach out to us. We will look at it, as long as it pays itself back in greater than 1 year, less than 7 years. There's an incentive for that. So keep that in mind if you're looking at that. So
that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, I would like to thank everyone today for attending. I'd like to thank Alex and the engineers for inviting us out. It's been great. I'm looking forward to hearing from many of you, and I'm open to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you so much, Josh and Adil. That was really good information and a lot of opportunities for our members to save. We do have one question in the chat. The steam trap testing program. The testing program will be subsidized by you. The replacement cost will also be subsidized up to $400 per trap. What about the labor cost? Will that be up to the property to pay out to the contractor?
So there's multiple ways that can be approached. So some folks do the installs themselves, and some folks have a third party come in and do that. We can pay. So say if you're eligible for a $200 rebate and the steam trap costs $120, we will still pay $75 of that labor toward the installation of that new steam trap. So it can be kind of a hybrid. So if you choose, now I will say though, if you install it in-house and it costs $125, we can't pay you $75 for your engineer's labor. It has to be a separate contractor to do that work. And so just to clarify on the rebates for the steam, so the public sector, if it's a failed open space heat trap, it would be $200. If it's a failed open process trap for the public sector, it'd be $400. Likewise, it would be $100 for failed open heating trap for a commercial and industrial facility that's in the private sector, and $200 for a process trap in a private sector customer.
Great, thank you. So it is advantageous to get a hold of you guys and do things not necessarily always in-house as well.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of the folks that we talk to, they say, "Hey, we actually have a steam trap program that we implement," and we always find that these engineers are running around crazy. They can't even do like the regular old building maintenance to keep things running regularly and on schedule. So it's like take advantage of these situations where we're like, we will don't do that with your guys. Let someone come in, do that for you. They'll tag it really nicely, and everything will be in a nice order. And then when you're done with it, they also produce a really nice report that states like the condition of the location and condition and the photo of each of the steam traps in your facility. And so that's something that you probably wouldn't do as thoroughly yourself as a third party would come in there and do it anyway. And with all the other things that you have going, especially with heating season kicking off, that's just one thing that we can take off of your plate that you don't have to worry about. So let us do that.
Awesome. And then still on the steam trap testing, are steam control valves eligible for rebates?
The valves, we do have like insulation of the valves that would be eligible for rebate. Adil, do you see any types of valves that would really qualify outside of the insulation?
Yeah, that's a little tricky without knowing additional information on that. But yes, to answer your question, we have incentivized steam control valves in the past, but obviously I would need some additional information to answer that. So if you could reach out to me, email me or call me, I'll be happy to answer your questions once we have more discussion on it.
And a little bit of housekeeping on this too. This presentation has been recorded and will be available on our website within the next couple days. We'll also be sending out a follow-up e-blast with, we can link to the PowerPoint if that works for Josh and Adil, and their contact information as well. So you will see a follow-up on contact information.
Great.
All right, next question. What would qualify a customer for the C&I program?
Okay, so I can take that one. So the C&I program qualifier is essentially 400,000 therms and larger. So if you fall over that cusp of 400,000 therms, you would fall into the commercial and industrial sector. Now, if you had 5 facilities at 5 different locations and they might each use 100,000 therms, we don't necessarily have to loop them into the large commercial industrial program. We could also loop them into the small business. But if they want to be into the commercial and industrial program, that's also an option too. So what we kind of try to do is manipulate that to the best advantage of our customers and where they're going to get the greatest bang for their buck.
Awesome.
I must also mention that we have a multifamily program as well for any units any building with 3 units or greater. Now I'm not sure exactly the intricate details of how that program is set up, but I know that they give out free light bulbs, free aerators, stuff like that. So it's definitely worth checking out. Obviously, I think there's more information on that on our website.
And we can link to that in the follow-up e-blast as well too.
Yep.
The 400,000 therms, is that annually?
That's correct.
Yep.
Okay, and how often can you get your boilers tested?
So it is once every 36 months for the space heating. And then Adil, is it every year or is it still the 36 months for, I think it's every year for process, is it not?
It's every 12 months for process boilers, right?
Yep. So if you are doing some sort of process with that, once every 12 months, we can give you that incentive.
Great. And now's a great time when some building operations are limited, and it's great to get people in there now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's getting crazy in the program right now. The applications and the inquiries are coming in as fast as we can handle them. But don't fear, we've got money for everyone.
That's great news. All right, I don't see any more questions in the chat or Q&A. We will give everybody a little bit more time back in their day. I'd like to thank you, Josh and Adil, again for joining us today and providing all these great resources. And we will definitely follow up and send all this out to everyone on the call, as well as our broader membership as well that weren't able to join us today.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks so much. And thank you for everyone that called in as well.
All right.
All right.
Have a
Bye
good
now.
day.
Thank you. Goodbye.